Great Seal of the Realm. The Great Seal of the Realm, or Great Seal of the United Kingdom, known prior to the Treaty of Union of 1707 as the Great Seal of England, and from then until the Union of 1801 as the Great Seal of Great Britain, is a seal that is used to symbolize the sovereign's approval of state documents. Scotland has had its own Great Seal since the 14th century. The Acts of Union 1707, joining the kingdoms of Scotland and England, provided for the use of a single Great Seal for the new Kingdom of Great Britain. However, it also provided for the continued use of a separate Scottish seal to be used there, and this seal continues to be called the Great Seal of Scotland, although it is not technically one. A new Welsh seal was introduced in 2011. Sealing wax is melted in a metal mold or matrix and impressed into a wax figure that is attached by cord or ribbon to documents that the monarch wishes to seal officially. The formal keeper of the seal is the Lord High Chancellor of Great Britain. History. At some time before the year 1066, Edward the Confessor began to use a great seal, which created a casting in wax of his own face, to signify that a document carried the force of his will. With some exceptions, each subsequent monarch up to 1603, when the King of Scotland succeeded to the throne of England, chose his or her own design for the Great Seal. Leavenworth Tearlink is believed to have designed the seal of Queen Mary I, and also the earliest seal used by her successor Elizabeth I in the 1540s. When opening Parliament on 3 September 1654, the Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell was escorted by the 3 commissioners of the Great Seal of the Commonwealth of England, who were Whitelock, Lisle, and Widdrington. This seal was inscribed with the Great Seal of England, 1648, displaying a map of England, Ireland, Jersey, and Guernsey on one side, with the arms of England and Ireland. On the other side was shown the interior of the House of Commons, the Speaker in his chair, with the inscription, "In the first year of freedom, by God's blessing restored, 1648. In 1655, Cromwell appointed 3 commissioners of the Great Seal of Ireland: Richard Pepys, Chief Justice of the Upper Bench; Sir Gerard Lowther, Chief Justice of the Common Bench; and Miles Corbett, Chief Baron of the Exchequer. But they held the seal only until 1656, when Cromwell nominated William Steele, Chief Baron of the Court of Exchequer in England, Lord Chancellor of Ireland. In 1688, while attempting to flee to France, James Roman II destroyed his Great Seal, apparently by throwing it into the River Thames, in the hope that the machinery of government would cease to function. James's successors, William Roman III and Mary Roman II, used the same seal matrix in their new Great Seal. This may have been a deliberate choice, in order to imply the continuity of government. A new obverse was created, but the reverse was crudely adapted by inserting a female figure beside the male figure. When Mary died, the obverse returned to the design used by James Roman II, while the female figure was deleted from the reverse. Thus, William Roman III used a seal that was identical to James Roman II's, except for changes to the lettering and coat of arms. Edward Roman VIII, who abdicated in order to marry Wallis Simpson only a few months after succeeding to the throne, never selected a design for his own seal and continued to use that of his predecessor, George V. Only one matrix of the Great Seal exists at a time, and since the wax used for the Great Seal has a high melting point, the silver plate. The longer-lived British monarchs have had several Great Seals during their reigns, and Queen Victoria had to select 4 different Great Seal designs during her 63 years on the throne. The current seal matrix was authorized by the Privy Council in July 2001. It was designed by James Butler and replaced that of 1953, designed by Gilbert Ledward. The obverse shows a middle-aged Elizabeth Roman II enthroned and robed, holding in her right hand a scepter, and in her left the orb. The circumscription Elizabeth Roman II D G E Brit Rig North S Forvum Setter, Regina, Consortiones, Pauplorvum, Princeps, D is the abbreviated Latin form of the royal title. On the reverse are the full royal arms, including crest, mantling, and supporters. This is the first time that the royal arms have provided the main design for one side of the English or British Great Seal. The reverse of the 1953 version depicted the Queen on horseback, dressed in uniform, and riding side saddle, as she used to attend the annual trooping, the colour ceremony for many years until the late 1980s. The seal's diameter is 6 inches 150 mm, and the combined weight of both sides of the seal matrix exceeds 275 troy ounces 302 Oz, 8,600 g. Usage. The Great Seal is attached to the official documents of state that require the authorization of the monarch to implement the advice of Her Majesty's government. Under today's usage of the Great Seal, seals of dark green wax are affixed to letters patent elevating individuals to the peerage, blue seals authorize actions relating to the royal family, and scarlet seals appoint bishops and implement various other affairs of state. In some cases, the seal is replaced by a wafer version, a smaller representation of the obverse of the Great Seal embossed on colored paper attached to the document being sealed. This simpler version is used for royal proclamations, letters patent granting royal assent to legislation, writs of summons to Parliament, licenses for the election of bishops, commissions of the peace, and many other documents. It formerly constituted treason to forge the Great Seal. The Great Seal of the realm is in the custody of and is administered by the Lord Keeper of the Great Seal. This office has been held jointly with that of Lord Chancellor since 1761. The current Lord Chancellor is Dominic Raab. The Constitutional Reform Act 2005 reiterates that the Lord Chancellor continues to be the custodian of the Great Seal. Though in the past, the Great Seal has been delivered to and remained in the custody of the sovereign when it has been used to seal instruments that related to or granted gifts or emoluments to the Lord Chancellor. The Clerk of the Crown in Chancery, who is also permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Justice, heads Her Majesty's Crown Office and is responsible for the affixing of the Great Seal. He is assisted by the Deputy Clerk of the Crown. Day-to-day custody is entrusted to the Clerk of the Chamber, and subordinate staff include a sealer and 2 scribes to Her Majesty's Crown Office. Section 2 of the Great Seal Act 1884 governs the use of the Great Seal of the realm. 2.1 A warrant under Her Majesty's Royal Sign Manual, countersigned by the Lord Chancellor, or by one of Her Majesty's principal Secretaries of State, or by the Lord High Treasurer, or 2 of the Commissioners of Her Majesty's Treasury, shall be a necessary and sufficient authority for passing any instrument under the Great Seal of the United Kingdom, according to the 2. The Lord Chancellor may from time to time make, and when made revoke and vary regulations respecting the passing of instruments under the Great Seal of the United Kingdom, and respecting the warrants for that purpose, and the preparation of such instruments and warrants, and every such warrant shall be prepared by the Clerk of the Crown in Chancery. 3. No person shall make or prepare any warrant for passing any instrument under the Great Seal of the United Kingdom, or procure any instrument to be passed under that seal otherwise than in manner provided by this Act or the Crown Office Act 1877, and any person who acts in contravention of this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. Inscriptions on the Great Seal. The Great Seal for each successive monarch is inscribed with the monarchy's names and titles on both sides of the seal. Some of those used in the past are shown below. Where the inscriptions on both sides of the seal are identical, only one is given. Where they are the same except for the use of abbreviations, the one with the fuller forms is given. Where they are different, they are shown separated by a slash. Kingdom of England. Union of the Crowns. James vi and I. Iacobs de Gracie Anglii Scotii Franci et Hibernia Rex Vitae Defensors. James, by the grace of God of England, Scotland, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith. Charles I Carols de Gratia Angli Scotia Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensors. Charles, by the grace of God, of England, Scotland, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith. Commonwealth. Commonwealth. The Great Seal of England / in the third year of freedom, by God's blessing restored. Oliver Cromwell. Olivarevs de Gratia Riet Blicky Angli Scotia et Hiberni, and Sea Protector. Oliver, by the grace of God, of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland. Richard Cromwell. Richards de Gratia Riet Blicky Angli Scotia et Hiberni, and Sea Protector. Richard, by the grace of God, of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland, etc., Protector. Restored. Charles Roman II. Carols Roman II de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensor. Charles Roman II, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith. James Roman II and Roman VII. Iakovs Secunds de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensor. James II, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith. William and Mary. G. Williams Roman III et Maria Roman II de Gratia Angliae, Franci et Hiberni Rex et Regina Fidei Defensators. William Roman III and Mary Roman II, by the grace of God, of England, France, and Ireland, King and Queen, defenders of the faith. William Roman III. G. Williams Roman III de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensor. William Roman III, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith. Anna de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Regina Fidei Defensor. Anne, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, Queen, defender of the faith. Kingdom of Great Britain. Anna de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Regina Fidei Defensor / Britannia, Anno Regni Anno Regini Sexto. Anne, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, Queen, defender of the faith / Britain in the 6th year of the reign of Queen Anne. George I Georgievs de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensor / Brviens Vicis et Elvinen Vigensis DVX Sacri Romani Imperii Architects et Princeps Elector George, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith / of Brunswick and Lunenburg, Duke of the Holy Roman Empire, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector. George III, II, and II. Georgievs Roman II de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensor / Brviens Vicis et Elvinen Vigensis DVX Sacri Romani Imperii Architects et Prince. Vincent. France. George Roman II, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith / of Brunswick and Lunenburg, Duke of the Holy Roman Empire, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector. George III. Georgievs Roman III de Gratia Magni Britanniae Franci et Hiberni Rex Fidei Defensor. George III, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, King, defender of the faith. United Kingdom. George III. Georgius Tertius de Gratia Britanniarum Rex Fidei Defensor. George III, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, defender of the faith. George IV. Georgius Quartus de Gratia Britanniarum Rex Fidei Defensor. George IV, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, defender of the faith. William Roman IV. Julius Quartus de Gratia Britanniarum Rex Fidei Defensor. William IV, by the grace of God, King of the Britons, defender of the faith. Victoria. Victoria de Gratia Britanniarum Regina Fidei Defensor. Victoria, by the grace of God, Queen of the Britons, Defender of the Faith. Edward Roman 7. Edwards Roman 7 DG Brit, et terram transmar QV, indit svienti Brit rex FD indimp to be read. Edwardus Septimus de Gratia Britanniarum terram transmarnarum qui indicium sunt Britannica, rex fidei defensor, indi imperator. Edward Roman 7, by the grace of God, of the Britons, and of the lands across the sea which are in the British dominion, King, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. George v. Georgievs vdg Magbr hibit ter transmar qv indit svnt Brit rex fd and imp to be read. Georgius Quintus de Gratia Magni Britanni Hiberni et terrarum transmarnarum qui indicium sunt Britannica, rex fidei defensor, indi imperator. George V, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, Ireland, and the lands across the sea which are in the British dominion, King, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. George VI. Georgius VI DG Mag VR Hibit Ter Transmar Qui Indit Sunt Brit Rex FD and Imp to be read. Georgius Sextus de Gratia Magni Britanni Hiberni et Terrarum Transmarnarum Qui Indicium Sunt Britannica, Rex Fidei Defensor, Indi Imperator, Indi Imperator, 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 Imperator. George VI, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, Ireland, and the lands across the sea which are in the British dominion, King, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. Elizabeth Roman II. Elizabeth Roman II DG Brit Rignorfus Warvum, Setter Regina Consortionis Populorum, Princeps FD to be read. Elizabeth Secunda de Gratia Britanniarum Rignorunc, Psuorum Setterorum Regina Consortionis Populorum Princeps Fidei Defensors. Elizabeth Roman II, by the grace of God, of the Britons and her other realms, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth of Nations, Defender of the Faith,